Thank you everyone for joining us. This is the October 2022 SBIF District Rollout. We will be getting started in just a moment. Please note, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box on your screen. Additionally, everybody attending the webinar today will receive a copy of the PowerPoint presentation via email. We will get started in just a moment. Again, hello everyone. Welcome to the October 2022 SBIF District Rollout webinar. We'll get started in just a moment here. As a reminder, any questions during the presentation, feel free to put them in the Q&A box and we'll be answering those at the end. Additionally, everybody attending today will receive a copy of this presentation via email. All right, I think we're ready to get started. Hello, everybody. My name is Kim Brisky. I am with Summer Corps. We are the administrator of the SBIF program on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development. And to kick off the webinar today, I'd like to have Ligia Iveres to pop up on the screen and give us an introduction from DPD. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kim. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Ligia Iveres, and I'm a project coordinator with the city's Department of Planning and Development Small Business Advocacy Division. I want to thank all of you for attending today's session and for the great work you do as a small business owner. It is the small businesses that make Chicago second to none, and we are grateful for the time and investment you have put into not only your business, but the communities you serve. We realize more than ever what a challenge it is to be a small business owner, whether it is your first year or your 30th year. Owning a small business presents new challenges each and every day. It is in this same spirit that we are opening our Small Business Improvement Fund for applications this month. In SBIF's 20-year history, the program has awarded over $107 million to over 1,600 small businesses and property owners. Joining us today is our program administrator, Summer Corps. If some of you have already had the pleasure of working with Summer Corps, you know firsthand how valuable they are to what we do and the impact that they have on assisting our city's small business community. Another essential part of making this program a success is a relationship with our community partners, some who may be on the call today. We encourage you to utilize your local delegate agencies as a resource. Our office works closely with many of these groups, and we are continuously impressed with how they step up and advocate for their communities and their businesses. I would like to encourage you to get to know their staffs, join their email list for updates and new resources, and attend any webinars or networking events that they have planned. If you need assistance in getting in touch with your local group, please let someone on our team know, and we will be more than happy to make that introduction. And always, please continue to use our office as a resource as well. If we can be of any assistance to your business, we would love to be of assistance. Our team is happy to discuss any concerns you may have or challenges you are facing and see how we can best serve you. Thank you all again for being here today. I will now turn it over to Sylvia Orozco, Summer Corps Program Director, who will be leading today's info session.
Thank you very much, Ligia. Again, as she mentioned, my name is Sylvia Orozco. I am the Director of the Small Business Improvement Fund program here at Summer Corps. Proud to say that I've worked for Summer Corps for the past 17 years now. I've assisted hundreds of existing businesses, landlords, and startups. Summer Corps is a not-for-profit organization. We administer the SBA 504 loan, the SBIF program, as well as the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund program. Our purpose is to guide your vision to reality through impactful financial solutions. Now, in its 22nd year, SBIF is one of the longest running and most successful programs here. We will help retain and expand small businesses in nearly every neighborhood of the city of Chicago. Please be advised that this is a non-residential program. The grant cannot be used for capital or operating expenses. It is strictly just for infrastructure repairs. So again, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll go ahead and get started with today's presentation. Thanks. Today we will go over what is SBIF, what is the program mission, and the grant parameters. Getting started, is your business or property in a SBIF district? What SBIF districts are open or on deck? What are the SBIF program rules? How do you apply and what is the program timeline, and what resources are available to you? We'll also discuss the October openings, the rollouts for the specific TIP districts that are authorized to accept applications this month, as well as a sample project. We will have SBIF facts available, as well as an additional question and answer session at the end. Launched in 1999, the City of Chicago Small Business Improvement Fund promotes economic development by providing small businesses and landlords with reimbursable grants for permanent building improvement costs. Residential projects are not eligible. SBIF uses local tax increment financing revenue to reimburse grantees for the pre-approved repair or rehab of their business facilities or adjacent land acquisition. Summer Corps is a program administrator contracted by the Chicago Department of Planning and Development. Grant parameters. Who is eligible to apply for SBIF? The property must be in a TIP district where SBIF funds are available and the SBIF is authorized to accept applications. Landlords of either commercial or industrial properties can qualify. Business owners of commercial or industrial who own or lease their places of business. Tenants with prior written approval from property owners, and also startups may apply with a business plan. Just note that a current city business license will be required prior to disbursement of funds. What are the eligibility limits? So for commercial tenants or owner-occupied businesses, on average, they must have less than $9 million in gross sales per year. For landlords and commercial or industrial, landlords of commercial or industrials, again, must have $9 million or less cumulative net worth and $500,000 liquidity max per individual. For industrial tenants or owner-occupied businesses, they're required to have 200 or fewer full-time employees. All owner-occupied properties are subject to both tenant and landlord requirements. The maximum grant amount allowed for SBIF is $250,000 maximum per industrial property. $150,000 is the maximum for a single owner or tenant of a commercial property or a landlord. $250,000 is maximum may be granted per multiple owner or tenant of a commercial property, with $75,000 being the max assistance per tenant or landlord. The applicants may receive one or more grants up to their maximum program assistance. Once this maximum is reached, the applicants need to wait 3 years to reapply. Percentage of eligible project costs that can be reimbursed. If your sales or net worth fall between $0 to $3 million, you'd qualify for 90% of eligible costs of reimbursement. If your sales or net worth fall between $3 to $6 million, you would qualify for 60% reimbursement of eligible cost. And if sales or net worth are between $6 to $9 million, you'd qualify for a 30% reimbursement of eligible cost. All industrial projects are eligible to receive 50% reimbursement of their eligible costs. Here we have a calculation example. Let's say that Grace submits an application for SBIF grants in an open district with a total eligible project cost of $100,000. She's proposing to make permanent building improvements to her existing retail shop, for which she is a tenant. Grace has been in business for 5 years. Over the last 3 years, her gross sales averaged $1.5 million. Her breakdown of eligible costs is as follows. Total eligible project costs are at $100,000. As a commercial tenant applicant with gross sales under $3 million, she qualifies for a 90% rebate. City's responsibility at 90% is at $90,000, and the applicant's responsibility is at 10%, at $10,000, keeping in mind that the applicant is responsible to fund the project upfront, but we'll get a little more into that as we go along with the presentation. Is your business or property in a SBIF district? You can visit our website at summercore.com/SBIF to see if your property is in a SBIF district. Once you get here to this page, you can click on the number 1 to confirm that your business is in a SBIF district. So once you click here, it's going to take you to this page here, which is the SBIF locator tool. You will then enter the address of the property that you are checking to see whether or not it falls within a SBIF eligible district. So once you enter that address, you'll have detailed information pertaining to that specific address, which will include whether or not it's in a TIF district. If it is in a TIF district, it will have the TIF name listed and also the open acceptance period, as well as delegate agency contact information. Which SBIF districts are open or on deck? Eligible SBIF districts in Chicago span neighborhoods on the north, south, and west sides. Each month marks a new 30-day period in which SBIF districts are available with available funds open up for applications. Notice of district openings are provided to relevant aldermen, posted on DPD and Summer Core's websites, and included in the SBIFgram. Once you visit our website here, you can click on number 2 for the most up-to-date list of open and on-deck districts. Here we have the list of TIF districts that are open for the year. So you can check to see if your property is in a TIF district and whether or not the district will be opening soon. What are these SBIF program rules? What businesses and organization types are ineligible to apply? So these just not a comprehensive list, but some of the businesses that do not qualify for the SBIF program, which include chain and franchise businesses, currency exchange stores, liquor stores, nightclubs, adult use, places of worship, smoke shops, tobacco dealers, residential storage warehouses. So again, it's not inclusive. If you're not sure, if your business does not fall on this list, but you want to double check, please feel free to reach out and ask. What improvement costs are eligible for SBIF funding? We cover roofing and facade, components of signs or awnings which are permanently affixed to the building, alterations or structures that are needed for ADA compliance with railings or ramps. If you need to widen restrooms, things like that that are related to ADA compliance, we can cover those. HVAC systems and other mechanical systems, plumbing and electrical work, certain project-related architectural and construction management fees that are related to the approved project, certain environmental remediation measures, permanent interior renovations, including fixtures, and the purchase of adjacent lot parcels for purpose of expansion or parking. Again, this list is not comprehensive. If you are looking to do something, you're not sure if we can cover it, we'll let you know once you submit that application if something is not eligible. If you want to check in beforehand, please feel free to visit our website, or you can give us a call or send us an email. What improvement costs are ineligible for SBIF funding? We do not cover new construction, whether it's an addition or an expansion. Anything from the ground up is not SBIF eligible. Any standalone minor repairs or cosmetic improvements, equipment-related expenses such as kitchen appliances, computers, or office furniture, we do not cover these items. I will mention a few items that could be equipment related, but we do cover them for either restaurants or commercial kitchens. This includes kitchen exhaust hoods, fire suppression systems, and walk-in coolers and freezers. Other items that we do not cover with SBIF include planters surrounding or affixed to the buildings, outdoor dining or drinking areas, including roof decks and beer gardens and outdoor patios and things of that such do not qualify. Fencing, including pergolas, privacy screens, or similar structures, any parking lot construction or repairs, landscaping, and work on interior residential units do not qualify for SBIF reimbursement. What are these SBIF design requirements? In order to receive funding, projects must conform to design requirements, including meeting DPD's design guidelines. Projects shall comply with design guidelines and additional neighborhood requirements as described in the guidelines, style guides, community plans, and other planning documents associated with the TIF area and neighborhood in which the property is located. Applicants are strongly advised to consult with Summer Corps and design professionals on design requirements and guidelines before drawing out plans for work. All applicants for commercial properties who are approved for a grant of $25,000 or greater shall be required to make at least one exterior improvement using at least 10% of the maximum amount of the approved grant, including but not limited to facade repairs, windows and doors, and other exterior improvements eligible subject to DPD's approval. This requirement can be waived at DPD's sole discretion if the applicant can demonstrate to DPD's satisfaction that no exterior improvements are needed because improvements have been recently completed or the exterior features of the building have been well maintained and are consistent with DPD's design guidelines. What measures are in place to ensure applicant compliance with program rules? We do checks that will be performed on all applicants prior to funding to ensure that they are not indebted to the city. Make sure that they are current on property taxes and complying with child support laws. Each applicant will sign an economic disclosure affidavit. Grantees will be required to sign an affidavit certifying that they will not relocate out of the TIF district or sell the business within a 3-year period following disbursement of funds. In cases of SBIF reimbursement for land purchase, proof of land ownership will be required before reimbursement may be made. How do you apply? You can download a copy of the SBIF application on our website. To apply, you must complete the application and email it to spiff@summercorps.com within the designated open acceptance period. What is the SBIF program timeline? For stage 1, the applicant supplies any missing information to complete their application. We are able to grant the applicants up to 20 days to submit these items. For stage 2, this is the planning phase where you would be required to submit your plans, bids, and specifications, as well as cure any debts that you may have with the City of Chicago. You're granted up to 120 days to submit these items and make sure that you're free of debt to the city. Please note that stage 1 and 2 may be completed before final review and project approval by DPD. If approved, you will receive your conditional commitment letter signaling that you're able to begin construction. Stage 3, project construction. You're granted up to 10 months for the construction phase. Proof of permit or permit application, which is concurrent with the 10-month construction phase, must be submitted within 120 days following the date of the commitment letter. Stage 3.4, the applicant is required to provide proof of sufficient funds to complete the project. Again, this is concurrent within the 10-month time frame. They're granted that 120 days following the date of the commitment letter that the applicant must prove that they currently have sufficient equity to complete the project. They must show that they have at least 50% of the funds needed to cover the total project cost. For stage 4, this is the reimbursement process once the project is actually complete and we have all of the necessary items to submit for processing. Usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks until you receive your reimbursement. Unless DPD has granted an extension of time, applicants who do not complete each stage within the required phase time limits will be disqualified. A maximum of 2 extensions may be granted with DPD's approval in the case of unavoidable delay due to extraordinary circumstances. DPD may also, on a case-by-case basis, grants a grant-eligible application an additional amount of time to complete any program requirements. In such case, DPD shall have discretion to determine the appropriate length of the extension. What is required to deem a project completed and receive funds? The construction must be fully completed and the project must be fully paid for. We require proof of payment documentation to be sent to us for review. These items include a sworn statement, invoices, canceled checks, and final waivers of lien. Summer Corps will complete a final site visit to verify and document that the work has been completed. You will also be required to submit a copy of the building permit. Once all of this paperwork is in, we submit that to the city for processing, and within 4 to 6 weeks, the grant payments will be received. What resources are available to help? Again, you can visit our website to access resources to support your SBIF project. We have a list of lenders that are familiar with the program. They are more inclined to lend so that you can have the upfront funding to pay for the renovations that need to be done. We can sign a letter of direction between the applicant and Summer Corps, which will allow Summer Corps to then grant the proceeds of the grant to the lender directly. So once that reimbursement is ready, we'll send that information, that payment over to the lender. That'll pay off a portion of their loan. Here we also have a list of technical assistance providers. Some previous SBIF applicants have used some of the contractors that are on this list here. Small business resources, as well as other list of contractors that we have available to you here. Get to know your local delegate agency. These organizations are assigned to assist small business owners in the SBIF districts that are opening in October. So these are local to your area, not necessarily every single TIF district, but in the Bryn Mawr area, you can contact the Edgewater Chamber of Commerce for assistance. So you can reach out directly to them whenever you need to. If you'd like to schedule an appointment with them, they're familiar with the SBIF program, so they'll be happy to walk you through. October open SBIF districts. So we are currently accepting applications through November 2nd at 5 p.m. The districts that are authorized for accepting applications as of now is the 79th and Vincennes, Armitage and Pulaski, Bryn Mawr Broadway, and Lincoln Avenue. You can submit the application via email at sbif@summercorps.com. Please allow 2 business days for Summer Corps to confirm receipt of your application via an email response. If you did not receive an email confirmation within this time, please send a follow-up message or call our main line at 312-360-3300. Applicants are responsible for making sure submissions are received within the open acceptance period. Any applications received outside of the open acceptance period will not be considered for the grant. Here we have a sample project in the Bryn Mawr Broadway TIF district. This is Michelle Lytle's photography and Michelle Lytle's event space. This is at 5517 North Broadway. This used to be an old auto repair shop. As you can see, it was basically just a shell when they purchased the building. And these are after pictures. This was a great renovation here. Beautiful space. Actually attended the open house here. Really nice vibes there. I mean, you would never think that you're, on Broadway Avenue right here. So they did a great job at, both the interior and exterior space. Summer Corps covered the interior renovations as well as the facade of the building itself. Again, the masonry work was covered. They did include some brick ups of the old windows and doors that were not necessary, the existing garage door opening in the rear, tuck pointing work, and repairs to the damaged bricks as needed. They installed new doors and windows and an overhead door in the front of the building. Interior work included drywall, electrical, plumbing, and HVAC systems, and also the build out of 2 restrooms. What additional documents should you have on hand to submit along with the SBIF application? So while it's not required when submitting the initial application form, please note that these items are required to complete the SBIF application process. The required documents vary depending on the applicant type, but here we have a list of items that may be required. Some of these we will ask directly from the applicant. They will come directly from the applicant, such as the business tax returns, proof of ownership, economic disclosure statement and affidavit will be provided by Summer Corps, as well as the personal financial statements and things like that. So if you see this list and you know some of these items will be applicable to you, you can go ahead and start preparing those items. Once Summer Corps reaches out to the applicants, we will provide all of the relevant information based on your applicant type. What are the financial requirements to participate in the SBIF program? The SBIF program is a reimbursable grant, so project participants should be prepared with financing to support the permanent building improvements. Proof of financing is not required until stage 3, but applicants are encouraged to contact their business lender or reach out to one of the lenders listed on the Summer Corps website in a timely manner. These things can be time consuming, so the sooner you look into it, the sooner you'll have the funding available so that you can complete your project within the time frame allowed. Grantees may choose to receive their grant funds through an escrow account. DPD in its sole discretion may authorize up to 3 draws of funding from the escrow account to reimburse an applicant as work is completed on a project. Any fees associated with the use of an escrow account will be taken out of the grant award. Are startups or new businesses eligible? Yes, most startups can apply. Startup applicants will need to supply a detailed business plan and projections of the business's income and expenses for its first 36 months of operation as part of their application materials. The City of Chicago reserves the right to impose additional conditions for funding in connection with startup business applications. If you have only been in business for 1 to 2 years, Summer Corps requires tax returns and a projection of gross sales to equal 3 years of data. Please note that bars, taverns, hotels, and motel applicants must have held their applicable license and been in the business for at least 1 calendar year. Are you eligible if you live outside of Chicago? The important consideration is where you have your business or your property. To participate in SBIF, your property must be in the City of Chicago, as the funding source comes from the City of Chicago property taxes. If you live in another area, please contact your city's planning, economic development, or community development department to see what other programs may be available to assist small businesses. What if my building has both business and residential spaces? This program is primarily for business use, but there are mixed use exceptions. For these buildings, many envelope projects such as roofing, facade improvements, and tuck pointing can be eligible. Will there be enough SBIF funds for all applicants? Each tax increment financing district that has a SBIF program authorized in it has limited funds reserved for the program. If demand for the SBIF funds is greater than the available supply, then a lottery will be conducted to determine the order in which each grant application may be accommodated. If any surplus funds become available, they will be allocated to waitlisted applicants. Applicants for property located in an Invest Southwest corridor shall be given priority for funding and the lottery. Applicants for a property located in a SBIF target corridor shall be second in priority for funding and the lottery. The remaining applicants shall be provided funding if available and placed on the wait list if applicable after applicants in the Invest Southwest corridors and the target corridors have already been addressed. Is there SBIF funding available in my district? Every SBIF area has its own budget and the city refills it if it has TIF funds available and if there's a demonstrated need for more grant money. You can email the Summer Corps team at SBIF@summercorps.com to see if there are funds in your SBIF. We also maintain an interested parties list for funds, which you can also send an email to sbif@summercorps.com to join. When more funding becomes available or the city allocates more funds, we'll let you know. The interested parties list helps the city of Chicago gauge demand for additional funding. What if I am in a TIF and it is not a SBIF? Tax increment financing is the mechanism that funds the SBIF program. If you are in a TIF district and it does not have a SBIF, please contact your alderman. Again, thank you very much for joining us today. Here's our contact information for the SBIF team and Nora Curry, who is the director for the City of Chicago's Department of Planning and Development, specifically under the SBIF program. You can visit both of our websites here. We have a website, summercorps.com/SBIF, and also chicago.gov/SBIF. So once you visit the Chicago website, you actually have the ability there to translate everything on the website. So on the upper right-hand corner, you can translate it to any language that you see there. A copy of the presentation and a link to a video will be emailed to all attendees. So we'll get started with our question and answer session.
Thanks so much, Sylvia. And just as a reminder, if you have any questions for Sylvia, feel free to put them in the Q&A box, and we're happy to answer those. Sylvia, the first question is just, what are some of the most common challenges that you see for SBIF applicants?
I would say being able to provide the upfront financing that is necessary for the project. So we definitely suggest that you get started with that process as soon as possible. Even if you do have the funding available, you just want to make sure that you have a backup. You want to get started with that process because it could be time consuming. It could take several months to go through the loan process. So that would be the biggest challenge there. Also, secondly, trying to get contractors to come out to the space to give you the proper bid, license, and insurance that's required. That would be the second challenge. But the biggest thing would be to get started with, financial resources to be able to fully fund the program upfront, or the project, I should say.
All right, a more specific question here. In terms of a property, if there's a convenience store with a liquor and beer license, would they be eligible to apply?
I could not answer that right now. We'd have to look a little bit further into it to determine, what exactly is the business doing here. If it's more focused on a liquor store and, you can buy a bag of chips there, then most likely we'd consider that a liquor store. So we'd have to investigate a little bit further before we can determine eligibility right now.
Got it. One question is, can you talk a little bit more about the financial resources available for somebody, or if you are unable to get all of the finances required to do the entire project up front, are there other options available for you?
Sure. So I always suggest that you start off with your banker first. You've already established a relationship with them. You can let them know that you're participating in this grant program with the City of Chicago. I'm always available to speak to bankers directly if they, want to know a little bit more about the program, about the process, and how this all works. So if they want to talk to me directly, I'm more than happy to do so. But I would definitely start off with your banker. Let them know what you're looking to do. Let them know that we can sign the grant proceeds directly over to them. That way the applicant will just be responsible for paying off the remaining balance. So that would be the best thing for people to do. There's also a lot of other organizations, not-for-profit organizations, different resources where you can obtain financing, which, sometimes the conventional banks don't always work out, but there's other resources that are available there. I've seen some people take lines of credit to get the work done. Some people have utilized their credit cards to get this project completed. So there's other options available there. So you can check our website for some of the other entities that may assist with this process.
And are you able potentially to do the project in phases to make it more affordable for you?
Yes. So what we can do is, let's say you have 3 different items that you're working on. If your budget, your contract cost is at $150,000, let's say you're looking to do your roof, your facade, and your HVAC system. So you can get approved for all of those items. Now, it may be intimidating once you see a contract price to say, oh my God, I don't have all that money readily available. So this is what we can do, is we can break it up in various phases, up to 3 disbursements, where you get approved for all of the work. The contractor and also you can discuss to determine what needs to be done first. You can prioritize your project. So if you say, I need my roof done before the weather starts to change, you can go ahead and do that roofing work. You can pay the contractor, submit proof of payments to the city of Chicago. We can then reimburse you for that portion. So you can then use the reimbursement for that to move on to the next project and so on. So you can do up to 3 phases.
That's great. We know there are a lot of other financing options that are, or grants that are available right now. Can you also apply for a SBIF grant if you have another grant from the city?
So you can apply for both programs, but you cannot receive funding from both programs at the same time. So if you are applying for another program, you must disclose that information to us. If you are selected for another program, you basically have to weigh your options to see what the programs are providing and which one works best for you. So ultimately, you'd have to make a decision on what program to utilize. Let us know if you're moving forward with the other program, or if you want to use SBIF, we can definitely proceed with that application, keeping in mind that you must abide by SBIF's deadlines and requirements in order to keep the application active with us. We do not provide extensions on the basis that you're waiting to hear back about the other program. So just keep that in mind. We have to keep things moving along.
So somebody was asking if they had sort of like a mobile restaurant or a food truck, would they be able to apply for the SBIF program?
Unfortunately not. We only cover brick and mortar spaces that are within certain TIF districts throughout the city of Chicago. So unfortunately, we do not assist with that.
I had somebody asking about, they actually are already very far into the process of rehabbing a space in Roseland, for example, but they're almost out of their capital. So they wanted to know, is there a way that they can apply now for the SBIF grant to be able to get funding to help pay off that work?
Unfortunately not, because SBIF does not cover any work that has already started or been paid for. And since you do not have the capital, SBIF would not be a good resource for you, because this program requires upfront funding in order for you to receive the reimbursement.
And for people, can you talk a little bit about the difference between maybe a SBIF program, or if you are wanting to be a developer? Is this program a good fit for a developer, or is this more for small businesses and landlords?
It's more for small businesses and landlords. So there are requirements that if you do obtain a SBIF grant, you must remain at the space for at least 3 years, and you cannot sell the property within a 3-year time frame after receiving it. So we do not want developers to just come and benefit, from this program and simply, make a profit by selling it immediately. So we do want the businesses to stay within the TIF districts here. We want them, to remain with their current employees, hire more employees. We want the businesses to stay here, basically.
Well, and since we know that folks are only eligible to apply for the SBIF grant when their SBIF district is open for applications, in the case that your district is not open at this time, we know it's coming up open, are there things that applicants can do to make sure they're prepared?
Sure. So you can take a look at the program rules. You can thoroughly read through all of that. If there's any questions, we'll be happy to resolve whatever concerns you may have, let you know a little bit more on how the process works. But funding would be the biggest thing, determining exactly what needs to be done. I always suggest that, people think about, what would make your space better? What have you been wanting to do to change things, to basically, things from like a different layout, if you want to give it a completely different look from either the inside or the outside. If you see that, this is just not functioning for you, we can redo layouts, knock down walls or build walls, things like that. You really think about what it is that you want to do, because SBIF can cover just about any permanent improvements. So that would be one of the biggest things to decide what you want to do. Take a look at, how much things are costing, reach out to contractors early on. It's one of those things where you can reach out to a contractor, they may or may not come out. If you build a good relationship with these people, you sort of get the feel for how responsive they are, the knowledge of what it is that they're speaking on, so getting started with that will be beneficial for them as well.
That's great. And potentially, if you're not sure really what kind of improvements you need, or you're not very comfortable with your business financials or need a business plan, I think those would all be helpful things. And we are at Summer Corps, or Sylvia, we can point you in direction of resources to help you get that technical assistance. A specific question here, could you use SBIF funding for a sign?
It's very limited on signage. We do not cover any detailed business specific information. It's only just structural elements of the sign itself. So basically, if down the road in 5 years, you say, I need a bigger space and you no longer occupy that space, we need to be able to utilize that sign that Summer Corps or that SBIF paid for the next person. So for example, we can cover, let's say, a box lit sign, but the plastic panel that has the detailed business information will be excluded. So if someone else comes and leases a space, or another person purchases a property, they can utilize that same sign just by simply replacing the plastic panel. We can cover the installation, the box lit sign, and also the lighting that will go towards that sign. So it's very limited on signage.
That's helpful to know. And just, I guess we had one more question just to re-clarify that the only time that you can apply is when your SBIF district is opening and accepting applications. If you apply now for a SBIF district that is not open, what will happen to those applications?
That application will be rejected, and the detailed contact information will be placed on our interested parties list. As a courtesy, we'll reach out to the applicants via email to notify them that they have an opportunity to apply. They can also check our website every month for our calendar updates, and also sign up for our SBIF newsletter that goes out every month. That'll give them the open and on deck districts for the current month, as well as advanced notification for the following month.
That's great. All right, I don't see any other questions in the queue here, so I will wrap it up. Thank you so much, Sylvia, and thank you for everybody for attending the call today. As a reminder, everyone on this call will be receiving an email with a copy of this presentation. You can also re-watch this recording on DPD's YouTube page. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you all for being on the call with us today. Have a great day.